Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I have the distinct pleasure of being in conversation with an editor-at-large for Salon. He is also an award-winning professor at the University of Baltimore, and an award-winning writer, author, founder of the Be More Writers Project, and his recent release, Black Boy Smile, A Memoir in Moments, came out in May. Please welcome the great D Watkins. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up? I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you for taking time and calling on me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you making the time, and I think this is long overdue. And I want to start off by just shooting a question over there for you. I want to tap over real quick and hit you with this question. So we know various books out there, like just Notoriety, Professor, just in the city. So could you share how you got started as a writer and just describe that experience when you started making money in that kind of space as well? Like, I know it's a weird question to start off with, but, talk about starting off as a writer and how you felt when you first started getting that acknowledgement monetarily.
All right, bet. So am I talking about when I started or when I'm talking about when I started making money? Because these are two very different answers.
You can give us the rundown of both. I mean, I want to hear both.
When I started, I couldn't pay a person to read what I was doing, but I felt like what I was doing was right. I've done a lot of things in my life, and writing is one of the few things that felt right. And I was in a hospital, and a nurse gave me a book, and I was playing the short game. I was trying to get a phone number. She was playing the long game. She was trying to enlighten me. She's asking me what am I reading and all that, and I'm like, I'm reading 48 Laws of Power, even though I wasn't, and even though I feel like 8 out of 10 people who say they reading that book, they didn't, or they don't read, they just have it because it looks good for the power bookshelf. But anyway, she made fun of me for that, which was cool. I didn't get the number, which was also cool, but I did get the book, and I wasn't necessarily what you would call a reader at the time. So the fact that I took that book from her, she left me that book. And the fact that I finished it in like 2 to 3 days, 300 some pages was super fast for me. Like right now, I can read 300 pages in a couple of hours. At this particular time, I couldn't do that. And the book was the coldest winter ever. And that book led to me reading a lot of other books. I wanted to know everything about Sister Soldier and, who influenced her. I wanted to know everything about the people who influenced them. And that just snowballed from me reading these street stories to reading stories about the streets from a different time period to me reading stories on the streets of Russia. You know what I'm saying? I'm tapped in with The Gambler and The Idiot by Dostoevsky. And that all came from learning to love Toni Morrison, loving Sister Soldier, learning to love James Baldwin and all of these different people that was telling these stories.
Yeah.
So this is maybe, I want to say at least a good 5-year period before I cashed my first real check. But what I will say about the money portion is writing, art in general, it comes fast for some people because we all have different definitions of fast. But I know for me, before I even, published my first essay, there's 100 rejection stories in front of that. Before I got my first literary agent, there's over 500 rejection stories attached to that. Before I signed my first book deal, there's another 4 or 5 years of people telling me no before someone actually said yeah. So it's always funny when I'm out in the world and people say things like, "Oh yeah, D Watkins, he popped up out of nowhere. He came up overnight," and it's like, "Nah, dog. I didn't come here overnight. I've been here. You just didn't know who I was. You didn't know what I was doing, but it doesn't mean I wasn't active, and it doesn't mean I wasn't trying, and it doesn't mean I was trying to become a better artist and a better person every day."
No, that's huge, and I think that notion of all of the work that goes into it, all the stuff that's baked into it, all of the rejections, all the experience, all of looking for those, not even like actively looking for those validation markers, but there are things that are out there. You're like, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. This works, and I say it all the time on here. I've been doing this thing for 13 years. And then, it's just like, listen to some of that old stuff. It is wild. Or even looking at some of the earlier episodes of this podcast and some of the questions I asked then, I would definitely not. I would be embarrassed to ask. And I was like, wow, this is not anything. This is not curious at all. This was tell me about your work. Oh, that's interesting. Moving on to the next thing. And I think people don't see that. It's like, oh, suddenly this guy is now the face of this or doing this or getting these different opportunities. It's like a lot of sweat equity, a lot of those moments where you're not sure if you're, doing the right thing or if your approach is right. All of those things are baked into that experience.
And then it's also not right for another person to try to minimize your journey. Like someone has said, I heard someone say on a event, D Watkins got his start at City Paper. That's not true. I heard someone say D Watkins had got his start when Freddie Gray died, and rest in peace to Freddie Gray. I had 2 book deals before Freddie Gray died with major publishing companies. I had already did television. I had already been a sought after paid speaker and recognized for my work. So, it's not to minimize that moment and what it meant to the city and the attention that people started to pay to the city. But we don't have to try to minimize another person's work down to like, if this wouldn't have happened, then he or she wouldn't have had a career. Yeah. Or because, there's a lot of people who feel like they can do what you do in podcasts is if you have 13 years and you've been doing this and you have a name and you have a system and you have it looks like a $500 microphone. Like you have some things and you put your work in. And I will hope that we could get away from that. But sometimes it's hard for me to even get into that conversation because it turns into conflict. And I'm like an anti-conflict guy.
Nah, I dig that. And yeah, like I remember it was one of those things where you have conversations with people and you have that comparison thing that comes up. You have just all of these different things back to your point of almost kind of minimizes what the work is and what the work that's been going out there and just what the process looks like. And it's like, I'd rather not engage. I'd rather not even do that. I'd rather just keep doing my stuff. I'm better served at doing that. That's what I'm good at. Trying to change people's minds. It's like, I'd rather just do that by making it work, by putting out the content.
Yeah, you want people to show love. You want people to respect what you do, and you want to respect what they do. But everyone's a work in progress, so it's all love.
Absolutely. So one of the things I think with this series and what I've noticed, especially in your most recent book, or what have you, Black Boy Smile. So storytelling, that's big. That's huge. That's really what the crux of this podcast is. So let's talk about the process of putting together your writing process and most recently your last book. And what is the most interesting part of that process for you?
Deleting scenes. Deleting scenes is the most interesting part for me because for one, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. For two, you get the opportunity to really capture the heat. It's people who I've heard conversations of book critics arguing about my book. Where one critic is like, yo, I feel like there's some missing pieces that I want. And then the other critic is like, yo, but everything that in there is fucking moving. It moves. Like it moves. So you can't, he's like, when you read all these books, it's rare that you get a project you can't put down because it moves. So, I trimmed all of the stuff that was just unnecessary. I trimmed a lot of analysis because why you need my analysis? That's toxic in a way. You take your own analyze it for yourself. Take what you take from the moment. Take what you take from the moment. Take what you take from that emotional arc, and analyze it yourself. And you do that work because it becomes even more meaningful and lasting for you. So for me, I start with a slab, and then I just carve it up.
Yeah.
It's like a glacier, you know what I'm saying? Like you see the little piece on top, but when you get below sea level, that motherfucker is the part you see is only a tenth. The part you see is only a tenth. Below sea level is fucking crazy.
It's vast once you get past that peak of it or what have you. And
absolutely.
And I'll say just, in recently finishing it, and I will say the added caveat of having you do because I did the audiobook, I consume. I'm kind of where you were describing. You're reading that earlier. I'm like, all right, it's going to be a month before I finish these 300 pages real quick. So I'm going to consume in that way, and having you do the narration, basically reading the book or what have you, adds something extra to it. I was like, all right, this right here is kind of funny. This right here has this going on. And in terms of the flow, as I'm looking at, I see things in like adaptation form. I'm like, this could easily be a coming of age sort of like series or what have you. I was like, that could be a natural application for this. And you're right. You just keep going through it. I'm keep going through it. And like I said, I listened to it twice. I was like, let me go back. I got to listen to, episode 6. It's like, that's a chapter. That's not an episode, bro.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know if you ever heard of this brilliant director, who was really known as an actress named Sally Richardson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Richardson has it right now, and she's like, I want to do something with this, but we have to figure out what it is, because I told her I want a miniseries, and she's like, nah, I want 5 years of television. So I was like, that's what you see, that's what I see. Maybe we'll figure it out. And she was like, yeah, you goddamn right, we're gonna figure it out. And I think maybe it reads like that in a way because I was writing TV at the time. I was writing a book, so my whole mind was in act 1, act 2, act 3, act 1, act 2, act 3 the whole time I was working on it.
So that's almost a natural segue right there. Let's talk about that a little bit. We're gonna jump back into some more questions, but I want to talk about that experience in writing for TV and working in TV compared to some of your previous writing. Like, how is that environment? What was that environment like, being in the writer's room for We Own the City and so on? Tell me about that.
Working with David and Nina and George and Ed for me was like being in college for so many years. Not to sound pretentious, but one of my jobs has been public intellectual, where like people expect me to have answers to things. Literally book for radio and TV and universities and think tanks, where my job was literally, you pay me some money and I come up and I idea man. You know what I'm saying? It's and like the most pretentious fucking shit ever. But like for so long, you get tripped up in your head into thinking you got the answers for everything, when really, no one has the answers for everything. And I would want to be quiet, but to feed my family, I would have to run my mouth. So in this situation, I was so happy to just be the youngest person in the room, the most inexperienced person in the room. Hearing George say, no, you did that, you should have did that. Hearing David saying, no, you being too tight, cut loose. Hearing Nina say, oh no, you got this one thing going on, now set up your next thing, was transformative for me. I didn't want to say anything, I just wanted to learn, but they were like, no, you ready, you need to write an episode. And I'm like, I never backed down from a challenge. I was ready to take that challenge on, but it was special for me to just to be a student. Like it feels so good to just shut the fuck up and just listen to people who are more experienced and who have accomplished way more than you. And I'll forever be grateful to them for that.
Yeah, as I'm listening, like we have that mutual connection. We have Keo, what have you, mutual connection there, and it was just certain things. Just in the conversation back, he was just like talking you up or what have you, and he was like, "Yeah, y'all on the same shit. Y'all don't fuck with that bullshit. Y'all be kissing no ass." I was like, "Yo,
Keo, that's my dog, man." Yo, watching his journey, I've just been honored to just watching Keo just grow as an artist, as a person, as a thinker. And his confidence. Like I really, really, really enjoy watching the way he grew as not to say I never would like call him a person that lack confidence, but I've watched him become more confident because his work has always been A1.
Yeah.
So for him to, he knows his work is A1, but I feel like he knows it at a higher level now. And that comes with, and as an artist, it comes with being validated by other people trying to, book you and connect with you and build with you. You build that confidence. And I'm fortunate that I got a chance to just to see him grow, man. I'm honored to know him.
Yeah, and it was really funny. Like, we happened to be in like the same building, working in the same office. And I was like, I know you. Yo, Evans. And it's one of those things where you kind of understand it. And I like the way you described that experience and being in the writer's room and having that opportunity to kind of sit back and then, observe and be pensive. I think that's one of the things, but also recognizing that, all right, I got to chime in. I got to say something here. I got to do something. I got to contribute in this way. I like those opportunities, and I look at all right, more than me. So what can I learn from you? How can I be helpful? And I think that's a really advantageous spot. And I think you can relate to this maybe of it's not always the most familiar thing. It's like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need you to tell me what I'm doing. But sometimes you got to sit back there and listen if somebody knows a lot more than you and has a lot more experience in the area than you.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons we had a good experience and we were able to make a show that was received well by a lot of people was everyone in the room was intellectually curious, a researcher, and hungry. Not a bunch of traditional TV writers. And I think adding me could have been a gamble because sometimes everyone in there worked on a wire. I was the only person that didn't. Mm-hmm. So adding me was like a gamble because I could have came in with an ego and fucked the dynamic up. I'm accomplished in my own right. People who are accomplished, sometimes they're terrible people. But I didn't come in on some woke soapbox. You want to listen to me and because only I can tell Baltimore's story. Yeah. I came in like, yo, I'm here to learn and insert where I need to insert and earn the opportunity to be able to create and add to that. So it's different ways you do it. There's a lot of talk, a lot of noise around diversity and inclusion and stuff like that. And we need to have those conversations. But what we're seeing a lot is people who aren't really talented bullying their way into situations and then creating fucked up art. And then when they're not getting booked or rehired, you didn't take the time to learn. You woke your way into some grant money or you woke your way into an opportunity. And then when somebody said, all right, you cried, motherfucker, now here's the money or here's the situation or here's the ship. You sell this bitch. Yeah. You never took the time to learn how to sell the ship. So I'm like, yes, yes, we've earned opportunities that we should have things, but just know what the fuck you doing.
it's like use football as the analogy, right? Like, you might want to sit for that first season. You might want to get in there for a few packages here, but if you come in and you're on a team that's trying to figure it out, you don't want to be on the Browns. It's like, I'm a rookie starting for the Browns. You're roasted. You're done.
Yeah, get the shit cracked out you.
So your writing is authentic, familiar, and progressively more personal, what have you. So tell me about some of those risks that go into your writing, whether it is, kind of inserting experiences, because they're baked in TV or even in your own books or even in lectures and things of that sort. Tell me about that and being progressively more personal and being able to crack that shell and really present you and your experiences. Tell me about those risks that are there.
You lose a piece of yourself. You from East Baltimore, resiliency is currency. What you've been through, your backstory, your family's backstory, how thorough you are, it means something. It means something. So if you're from a place where nobody has trust fund, nobody has a pony, nobody, a couple of people make it to private school, but it's rare. Nobody really has anything. People aren't passing us down 100 houses and shit like that. We coming out the street. Your resiliency is you wear it on your chest. Like it's the most important part of you.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable, you sacrifice that. So people who are, who might have, say, I love D Watkins because he's been through a lot, but he still has a sense of humor. He's still a positive guy. He still has love in his heart. He still tries every day. It might be like, damn, I didn't know D Watkins feels weak at times. I didn't know D Watkins feels depressed. I didn't know D Watkins struggles, has struggles with addiction and dealt with all kinds of pain and abuse and uncertainty and all of these different things that crumble oppressed people, all people, but really oppressed people because we ain't got no money to fall back on. But it crumbles us. So now I'm stepping down off this fictitious superhero stage to say, yo, hey, young lady, hey, young man, I'm just like you. I'm terrified of certain shit, angry at certain things. Certain times, I could have made good decisions and I've made bad ones, and all of the messed up things that goes into a human experience. I'm guilty of that. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Let's have a real conversation. So you lose that superhero status, but at the same time, you gain the opportunity to be real, and that's and lucky for me, that's currency too.
Yeah, I think it makes us more accessible in that way, and I think at a point, I have a pretty packed recording schedule, right, and I might do 3 interviews in a day or what have you, and look at the course of the week. I've done 12, 15 interviews. And at a point, I wasn't giving myself like gaps between it. And you're having these conversations that vulnerability, experiences, traumas, all of that stuff is baked into what someone's story is and what someone's work is. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing a little bit of therapy right now. And I start thinking about my own shit. I was like, yo, shit.
Were you satisfied with that last answer?
No, if you got more, please.
You wasn't satisfied with it.
No, I was.
It's pretty satisfying. Okay, I just want to make sure. All right,
no, you good.
Some answers aren't really satisfying, and I'd be having to watch myself because as an interviewer, I ask people questions sometimes, and in my mind, I'm like, damn, I know I got to get to this next point because I know I got X amount of time to be able to deliver this and that. But I'm really not satisfied.
No. And the thing is, that's on me. Like,
you'll let me know. You'll let me know.
Absolutely. And peeling the curtain back or what have you. Like, for me, it's like I need to edit as I'm going along. Of like, all right, that question's mid. You actually already answered that. Great. That's the way I like to do it. Yeah.
But you'll let me know.
No, you got it, bro.
Bet. All right, bet.
So I got this one question because you touched on it a moment there. Again, natural segues. It's like you've done an interview before. What the hell? So we all run into this. I think when you get down, whether it's like in the middle of the process, we all run into things where it's like, yo, I'm not really feeling it today. I'm kind of out of it today. I don't really feel like going back into this story per se. This has some trauma attached to it or what have you. When you're in that point where you're kind of down within the process, how do you keep your spirits high? How do you kind of like progress and, have that resiliency to keep going through?
Sometimes I don't. And sometimes I just stop. And that's a real part of the process too. I think we're telling people that they have to be on 1,000% of the time. People who are tweeting, posting a workaholic, work all night, no sleep, they're lying because you're stopping the post. If you're working, that's a lie. If I'm working all night, I have to tell you that I'm working all night because you'll see my product. You'll see the product. If I'm working all night, you're going to see the product. So, it's sometimes you got to stop. Sometimes you got to sit back and say, you know what? I need to focus on something else because what I'm doing right now ain't working. And I need to focus on something else, realign whatever the hell is going on inside of my skull so that I can produce and be the person that I want to be. when I get down, I try my best to think about memories of times I was happy, to lock in with my good friends, and like let them tell jokes or me tell jokes or us make fun of each other, and kick it. Obviously kick it with my wife, and you know um tap into what she has going on, and making sure I'm checking in and being the husband I'm supposed to be. But all of these different things that aren't really distractions, but more of investing in the relationships that I value. When I'm not, so if I'm off, I'm not off completely. I'm putting positive energy into the other things that need to be watered too, because watering other artists and other people is a part of it too. That's a part of it. Which is something that I like to say whenever I get a chance to say, because I think sometimes people forget that.
It's a great answer for that. Just to put that out there. No, but it's really true. And I'm in this spot where, like, my partner, my girl, she has a couple kids or what have you. They're like adults, but like older teens, young 20s, what have you. And I'm like the dude that's around, and it's like, and I've been around for a while, and it's like, so, what does Rob have to say about this? What is his thoughts on that? And,
right.
A son would ask, like, yo, how do you manage day job, heavy podcast schedule, social life, being with my mom, all of these different things? I was like, yo, I steal time. I juggle. I try to stack things when I can, but also recognizing when, like, all right, this soil is a little dry. I got to water that. I got to, be able to, be out there. And if I can bring things together to feel like I'm a good friend, I'm a good partner, I'm a good creative, and I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do, then I feel like I'm fulfilled and I'm enriched. But sometimes I think, and you touched on it very well earlier, where it's like, I just stop. It'll be a week and it's like, all right, some bullshit happened. I'm not recording anything because it's going to be a part of it. It's going to be in that conversation, and I'm not going to be giving the guests who gave me their time and the grace to share their story with me. I'm not going to be giving them what they deserve in the conversation.
And that's okay. And that's cool. That's cool. It's nothing wrong with resting. It's nothing wrong with skipping them days at the gym. It's nothing wrong with having an extra cheat day, whatever. It's nothing wrong with all of these things, because we are right now, social media is forcing us to think that our peers aren't human. Because we only see the good. We only see the workout videos. We only see the vacations. We only see the couple goals. We don't see the arguments. We don't see, the days when they not feeling that good. We only see the good. So it's tricking us to think that everything's good. Everything is not good, and everything shouldn't be good, because if everything was good, then you would have no idea of what something bad was, and it would totally throw the whole fucking balance of our existence. So, that's what it is.
100% agree. You don't know what the sweet is without the sour, and vice versa.
Absolutely. You need both.
So I got two more real questions, and I got those rapid fire questions. Even the great D Watkins can avoid the rapid fire questions, just so you know, sir. So I want to throw this out there. So how's the response been to Black Boy Smile and Memoron Moments, and in what ways maybe was this process different? This writing process different than previous works?
The response has been really, really, really great amongst critics and my peers. This is the first time I've written a book that was on book list, a starred book list, book review, a starred Kirkus review, and these things are very important in my industry. It's the first time I've written a book that has made people who I haven't been talking to contact me, just so they can let me know that they see evolution and the growth in my work. So that's extremely important. However, it's not my most successful launch or my most successful book. Other books I've written sold 30 times the copies by this point. And that's just the nature of the game. That's the nature of marketing, the nature of promotion, the nature of the machine.
Yeah.
And it's just how it is. And I'm very, very vocal about it. And I share that because, people think because I put a book out, it's going to be a bestseller. And that's just not true. And it's okay. Like, everything's not a fucking competition or, or something that needs to be elevated as some type of whatever. Like, sometimes, it is what it is. It's the game. It's the game.
Yeah, I like your earlier stuff. I like the old D Watkins.
I like the old stuff. also, I don't know what it's gonna grow into because I've never had a book come out 1 month and then in under a month, people are already like trying to adapt it for television. So I've never had a book get that kind of interest from artists who I don't even know, but I respect immensely. Is that's something different for me too. So I don't know what the book will grow into. I'm excited to see.
Likewise, I'm really excited for you, and shout out to you on that. Last real question for you, because sometimes we hear stories about people working on a project. And then it's like, yeah, I intended it to be this poem, but somehow it turned into a recipe. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. That's not a good analogy. But,
I get it.
So tell me about a piece of work that you started that turned out a lot differently than you planned.
That's a great question. I don't want to let you down, but I'm very intentional. So when I start out to do something, I do it. Like, I don't. If I'm sailing a ship from here to the coast of Ghana, we're not making no pit stops. I'm sailing to the coast of Ghana. Like, I outline, I plan, I think, I outline. And I do that because you should definitely relate to this. I'm a mental wanderer. Like, I wander. So like I can drift down I can go down any pathway and be lost. So I have to stick to my outlines. So I can stay disciplined and get my work done.
Yeah. I
wish I had that poem that turned into a manifesto on Black Reconstruction, and but I don't have that. I don't even have a poem.
this a little bit, and thank you for that. That's an honest answer. I mean, sometimes like with this, I'll have someone on. I was like, this is gonna be a fire interview, and then it turns like mid, or it turns into a partnership in a different way. Like I appreciate anyone wanting to come on here and share their time and share their story. And I like every interview, right? But then there's an opportunity where this might work for my other podcast where I review movies, and it's like we get a little looser on there and get caught in the weeds. Like, yo, you want to talk about RoboCop for an hour? Sure, let's do that shit. And I think that's one of those kind of like byproducts of doing this sort of like content sometimes.
No, I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. Conversations, they can go any way all the time, but when it comes to work, I got to churn out what I got to churn out.
I dig it. So that's kind of the end of the real questions. I got some rapid fire questions for you. We got to put in the quick, like, yo, here's my response. I got nothing else. You'd be surprised how many people don't know what their favorite movie is. They're like trying to debate it. Like, but it's really this. But you said it's this. But also, here's my top 3. I was like, that's not the question.
Okay. So, I follow the rules.
All right. What is your most overused word in conversation? What is something that you like? I say this all the time. I say it too much.
No. I say no a lot.
That is great.
No is a love word. I say it a lot. Like, nah, no.
Mine is a version of or I think I said this yesterday. I was doing an interview, and it's like, I never get credit for this. My girl will say, this should be the name of your next podcast because you say it that much. It's like, here's your phrase. Next one. I noticed you have a little bit of a sweet tooth like your man's Rob Lee does. Favorite dessert?
Chocolate chip cookie, but it gotta have walnuts in it, or like, chocolate chip cookie with walnuts or whatever, pecans, whatever kind of nuts they put in cookies. They just gotta have some type of nuts in them.
Boo. That's my favorite cookie, bro. I hate it. People give me shit. It's like, yo, why do you like walnuts in your chocolate chip cookies? I was like, because that's the way you're supposed to have them. Like, what are you asking?
Why wouldn't you want them in there? I don't even know what the hell is in these joints. Yeah, walnuts. Your chocolate chip cookies with walnuts. Yep.
And walnuts are brain food too.
Yeah, that's a standard snack, dessert or whatever. It's American as fucking yellow dye number 5. People they should be able to get on with that.
I want to make a phrase like that's African American is sweet potato pie.
You know?
What is something that makes you laugh without fail? Sitcom, movie, just seeing like when this is gonna sound low rent. If I see like somebody trip and they lose something, like something falls out of their hand, like they trip and then like a soda goes everywhere, I'm gonna probably laugh. I'm gonna see if they're good, but I'm also gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh while helping them up.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Good on you. Good man.
Yeah, I'm laughing at every episode, all fucking 90 of them.
Top 3 Jordans.
That's super easy.
Okay.
So for number 1, I'm gonna go with 3s. The 3s are my favorite shoe of all time. The black cement 3s. Number two, I'm gonna go with the Jordan 4s. Because Jordan 4s are my favorite. Right next to the 3, it's a similar silhouette. I love them. And then for number 3, I'm gonna go with the Jordan 5s.
Okay.
So for me, I'm always been a big 3, 4, 5 guy for Jordans. 3, 4, 5, but I like them in a reverse order. As far as like my favorite to least favorite, I will be wearing 3, 4s, and 5s for the rest of my life.
Just come on, man. We definitely gonna have to have a beer or coffee because that's another, like, I'm a fan of the 3s. That is my favorite Jordan.
Perfect shoe, man. It's perfect shoe. It's when Tinker Hatfield's first Jordan design. It's when he first got the job. You know, another guy did the 2. You know, Tinker Hatfield did the 3, man, when he got the job, man. Mike was about to leave. He was leaving. He was going to get out of Nike. He was going to go try to do something somewhere else. Yeah. Came through with that 3, set the world on fire, and never been the same.
Absolutely. Last question. And
these rapid fires are easy. I thought it was going to be difficult, man. This is easy, man. These are easy.
Okay, I'm gonna get.
You gotta come with the fuck one, marry one, kill one shit.
So this is the one that's is going to sound a little pretentious, but also I think it matters though because I had the opportunity. I went to City, right, and I had the opportunity to go there a little while ago, and I haven't been there in 20 years. And I was able to speak to the students there, and we were talking about why their creativity matters. Me and one of my peers, So the question I posed to you, and I want to get your take on it, in this rapid fire sort of like construct, why does creativity matter?
Creativity makes the world go round. That's why it matters. Any and everything we touch is a part or a piece of someone's dream. Someone someone envisioned those glasses that you're wearing in their head before they actually put it on paper, before they actually was able to, be able to be designed. Somebody, from the cover of the books that I've written to the covers of the books that I love, to the sneakers on my feet, to the art that we consume, it's all creativity. It is literally the fuel of everything. Creativity fuels life. Yeah. That's why it's important. If you take it away, the whole fucking world will crack in half like a sunflower seed.
that was a very Baltimore thing you just said there at the end, by the way. Yeah, I always throw this one out there. I was like, yo, it's the seasoning, yo. Nobody wants some bland ass rice, so make sure you got some art around.
You know what I mean? It's everything, man. The creativity is everything.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. So I want to thank you for being on this podcast and taking the time to talk with me. And two, I want to invite and encourage you to really key in on anything you feel like we missed in the end. And the floor is yours to share any final thoughts and where people can check your work out.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was really fun. I do a lot of interviews, and a lot of times it's fucking boring. This was fun. So thank you for creating a space. I'm everywhere at D Watkins World. Closing out the tour for Black Boy Smile. I have my last Baltimore event coming up at the Pratt, and then something at Everyman Theater in the fall. I don't know the dates but I'll post them. Co-wrote a book called The Wire with David Simon, the creator of The Wire, that comes out in November. Looking forward to people getting their hands on that.
So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank the great D Watkins for coming on and chopping it up with me. And I'm Rob Lee, saying that there's art, conversation, community in and around Baltimore. You just got to look for it.